Yes, we're talking about Justin Simmons again here on today's Philadelphia Eagles Now. Why is that? Well, with a couple of weeks to go until Eagles training camp on July 23rd, the Philadelphia Eagles are one of the betting favorites to sign the four-time All-Pro safety. And with that, we pop up today's poll question. Should the Eagles sign him? Type S for sign, P for pass. Let me know and share your thoughts with me down below in the comment section. As for the latest Justin Simmons next team odds if he does not return to the Denver Broncos, where he's become a heck of a player since being drafted in 2016. The New York Giants, the odds-on favorites to sign Justin Simmons at plus 400. Philadelphia, second at 6-1, followed by the Buffalo Bills at 8-1, the San Francisco 49ers at 9-1, and the Cleveland Browns at 9-1 as well. One of the reasons this makes sense for the Eagles, and we'll go through many reasons here on the show, is the money that they have available. Philadelphia currently has $25.7 million in cap room per over the cap. That is 11th in the National Football League. And they're definitely not going to use all of that money for Justin Simmons, so they could use some of their financial capital that's available to pay Simmons and either use that money elsewhere, save it for the trade deadline, or roll it over to next year where the Eagles' cap situation isn't as good as what it is right now. As for the latest on Simmons and how things are developing on this front, you had James Palmer of the NFL Network saying he doesn't see anything happening anytime soon with Justin Simmons because he knows he's not going to get paid, and that's giving him patience. He has received offers, but now he's seeking a good fit. After years of losing with the Denver Broncos, he wants to go somewhere where he can win. That's why it's a little bit weird that the New York Giants are the odds-on favorites to land him, but those other teams on the betting odds list, they're all playoff caliber and Super Bowl contending teams. Why I think Simmons to Philadelphia makes sense and why I'd pull the trigger on this move if I was general manager Howie Roseman. On the market right now, for an affordable price, is one of the best safeties in the National Football League. One of the biggest weaknesses on your team, in addition to off-ball linebacker, is safety. And he dramatically improves the secondary, which last year was one of the worst units in the entire National Football League. Problematic stats coming up here in just a second. You can also use C.J. Gardner-Johnson in the role where you're able to maximize him as a player and his strengths. He can kind of roam all around the field and be that Swiss Army knife like he was for the Eagles back during the 2022 season when he tied with Justin Simmons for the league high in picks. In that secondary, which now has an influx of youth in Cooper DeJean, Quinion Mitchell, as well as still young players Keely Ringo and Eli Ricks, you get experience, a team captain, and a player with a lot of swagger. And the Eagles last year really struggled to generate turnovers. What do Simmons and C.J. Gardner-Johnson do very, very well? Read the eyes of the quarterback, have a good feel and temperature of the game. They can diagnose plays, pick off passes, and generate turnovers. Justin Simmons is a player on that back end who the Philadelphia Eagles can trust. In 4 straight years, he's had at least 69 tackles. Since coming into the league out of Boston College, he leads the NFL in interceptions. He has been a turnover-generating machine where he's not only that center field ball hawk who's really good against the pass, but he can also be a disruptor around the line of scrimmage and punch the football loose. His coverage numbers last year in 15 games allowed a completion rate of 63.9%, went in the neighborhood of the nearest target. That is below league average. Gave up 324 yards, 3 touchdowns. Keep in mind, the Broncos' defense not great. And he had 8 pass breakups at the safety spot with 3 picks and allowed a quarterback rating of 85.9. I think that the Eagles can get by with C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Reed Blankenship as their starting safeties, but let me ask you this. If one of these players here went down, do you have confidence in the backups to step up? Or if you signed Justin Simmons and had him and C.J. Gardner-Johnson on the field together at the same time, with Reed Blankenship and Sidney Brown as backups who can still see the field in diamond nickel packages, I think that makes your defensive unit a lot more dangerous and deeper at the safety position. More to get to here on the show, but make sure you sub for Eagles Dubs. And if you're looking for elite coverage of the Birds, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. It's my goal this football season to get Eagles now to 100,000 subscribers, because then YouTube sends us that plaque, and it's going to be absolutely epic. As for those aforementioned Eagles defensive numbers from 2023, this is also why Justin Simmons can help out this defense. The Eagles last year were ranked 31st in the red zone and 30th on third downs. Justin Simmons is going to be able to help the defense lock down the opposing offense in the red area, and he's a playmaker who's going to help you on third downs. The Eagles' pass rush went from ranked first in 2022 to 23rd in 2023. Part of the reason they dropped, they didn't generate the same pressure, but the Eagles' secondary on the back end could not hold up in coverage. Thus, the Eagles' defensive line could not get home soon enough to the quarterback. And the Eagles here have added a lot of talent defensively. They now have an experienced defensive coordinator in Vic Fangio, who Justin Simmons is familiar with because he played under Vic Fangio with the Denver Broncos. He understands his scheme, and he can help out a Sidney Brown, a Quinion Mitchell, a Cooper DeJean to just help this unit improve. This does continue to be an issue for Howie Roseman and his team-building strategy. The Eagles don't spend a lot of money historically at the safety spot. They paid C.J. Gardner-Johnson a decent sum, but this year they're allocating $6.15 million to the safety position. That ranks 30th among 32 teams in the NFL, a year after the Eagles spent the least amount of money on safeties in the NFL, with their ranking at 32nd. And then you go back to what Justin Simmons would be able to help this defense do, generate turnovers. Because again, since coming into the league in 2016, he is number one in picks. The Eagles' 2023 turnover margin was -10. It didn't help that the Eagles' offense committed the most turnovers on first down since the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2015, but they were sloppy and they couldn't generate turnovers. That's why the turnover margin -10. Eagles gave it up 28 times. The Eagles defense, after they did a good job of generating turnovers in 2022, only took the football away 18 times. It's just not going to translate to a lot of wins. So to really summarize all of this, it is a no-brainer. The Eagles have a need at the safety spot. Justin Simmons is a really good player. He helps you improve, and they have the money to pay him. I know that we've talked about Justin Simmons a lot, but I'll counter that any complaints by saying, do you want to win a Super Bowl? Do you want this Eagles defense to improve by leaps and bounds here in 2024? I do. I don't want to see that defensive unit that we saw last year. It was terrible, as Charles Barkley would say. Make sure you give me a follow on X and Instagram at Chase_Senior, approaching 13,000 followers on X. The Instagram has been humming, putting out a lot of short-form content, talking NFL, talking Birds, on my social media pages. And once the season gets here, we're really going to ramp things up.